Welcome to Chapter 8, Managing Employees' Performance, where we're going to learn to link and align employees' performance to overall organizational success. As shown in the middle right, we have the three levels of the organization, and it's managing employees' performance that ties the individual performance to the needs of the division or team all the way up to the highest levels of the organization. So we like to think of the organization as an integrated whole, and we're going to be discussing the individual performance and how that links in. Also, Chapter 8 is part of a much bigger set of chapters. Let's talk about an integrated whole. We have these functions listed by chapters, but let's take away the chapters. And we're now looking at the 5 human resource functions: evaluation, development, retaining, discipline, and separating. We're going to use evaluation as a foundation that can support the other functions. Our evaluation can support retaining, who's staying, focusing on our workforce to provide empowerment, engagement, and job designs that support the organizational goals. We use evaluation for supporting development, who's moving up or over, who has the potential for doing more for the organization at a higher level or an adjacent level. We'd like a return on investment for developing employees. Looking to the right, our evaluation can support discipline for either progressive or immediate discipline. Who's iffy? Who has identified themselves as a management problem? Which then leads us to the far right in separations. Evaluations may help us for retirement, career development, people moving along, downsizing. We have more faces than spaces, and we have to evaluate who goes. And then also for cause. Who might need an immediate discharge because of discipline? So in reality, as we go through the module, think of practical exercises 8, 9, and 10 as an integrated whole. Thank you. The practical exercise 8 that supports this chapter's learning objectives is as shown on the slide. There are 5 subtasks, and in each subtask, you'll see the learning objective in the textbook chapter and then the reading pages to support that learning objective. In our previous textbook chapter, number 7, on training management, we learned to use the management cycle. We're going to use the same management cycle now to discuss Chapter 8 and performance management. In the blue circle, under planning, we have to ask the 3 planning questions. Where are we going? Where are we now? And how we're going to get there. That leads us to make a decision stated as an objective. But because we're discussing performance management, these are going to be performance objectives. We structure our objectives to answer these 3 questions. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And how do we know when to stop? As before, we want to know what's the task? What are we doing? Why we are doing it is where we link it to higher level performance objectives so that we get an integrated whole from the whole organization through division and teams down to individuals. And because our objective has standards, we ought to be able to know when to stop. When have we achieved the performance standards? When we do our performance evaluation, we ask and answer the 5 control questions. The should hit in control comes from the standards in the objective statement. The did hit is what was actually done from the conduct of our performance. So we're comparing what we should have achieved in our objective statement and what we have achieved in our activities. So we ask and answer the 5 control questions. Let's remind ourselves that the 5 control questions are what we're asking and answering in our performance management steps. We are evaluating the performance of the members of the organization. Let's remind ourselves to ask the questions. What went right? What went wrong? Why was it wrong? What should it have been? What will we do next time? And we link that back into our next planning step. And there we have the performance management cycle. Sometimes performance management can be complicated, and I'd like to bring up now one aspect for your consideration. Take this and think about it for a while. It's going to take a while for you to catch up with the differences I'm about to show you and the implications for both the rater and the ratee. We get output. The members of the organizations do their work and they produce output related to objectives. And hopefully what we get is desired outcomes, but they're not always the same. In other words, we can plan a safety campaign, organize a safety campaign, direct and conduct the safety campaign, control it while we're doing it, and we hope we are safer because of the campaign. But are we? So there's the output, what we did to achieve an objective, and then there was the outcome from our activities. They're not always the same. This has implications for both the rater and ratee. So let's remind ourselves that for output, we control our internal factors and resources. We knew our objective. We provided enough labor and time, money and things, and we actually conducted the safety campaign. But we don't control external factors, including selected resources. So output is not the same as outcomes, and that differentiation will be used as you work your way through the practical exercise number 8. So just remember is we're going to be talking both output and outcomes as part of our performance management discussions. Thought you'd like to know. I'd like to highlight part of Chapter 8's reading in its introduction on page 234, and it was on managing employee performance at the Zion First National Bank. The bank created a way of prioritizing goals for groups and individuals into wildly important goals and pretty important goals. And you'll see them broken apart there as WIGs and PIGs. And their performance management system revolved around feedback meetings for goals ahead and resources. And they did this at 2 levels. The first was weekly group meetings where the group could discuss their progress towards their WIGs. And then there was a monthly face-to-face individual meeting with managers and the workers on the progress towards their WIGs. This kept the supervisors aware. They knew where to provide support and recognition. It also provided the individuals to give feedback to their managers. So, WIGs and PIGs at Zion First National Bank. Check it out. Mathis and Jackson provide this guidance on the breakout of responsibilities for appraisals. On the right, notice that the HR unit designs and maintains the overall formal system. They maintain the formal reports, and they also train raters. And as you go through the practical exercise, please think about the training that's needed at the management level. On the right, the managers are being trained in how to rate the performance. Ask and answer those 5 control questions. Also making formal reports, and then review appraisals with employees. And I'm emphasizing again where you ask and answer the 5 control questions. Just like interviewing, performance management also has the types of performance measuring rating errors, perceptual errors that we discussed in Chapter 6, contrast errors, distribution errors, rater biases, and then of course the primacy and recency effects, where you remember the first thing about the employee, the last thing they did, but you don't remember the middle. So as we go through our policies, what will you be doing to dampen the effect of perceptual errors and biases in your performance management system? For just a moment, let's discuss the word discriminate. To recognize a distinction, to differentiate. So its synonyms are differentiate, distinguish, draw distinction, tell a difference, to be able to tell apart. Now, the law says that we don't discriminate based on gender or age or race or ethnicity and so on. So all those challenges out of Chapter 3 are still there. What we're going to do is take a look at the job descriptions and specifications in design, and we're going to discriminate based upon observable, measurable performance and accomplishments related to established objectives. So, discriminate based upon performance objectives. Performance management is ensuring that individual contributions contribute to the organization's goals. This requires that managers know what activities and outputs are desired, actually observe whether they occur, and provide feedback to help employees meet expectations. So our objectives are layered from whole organizational level through team and division down to the individual level. We're going to ask and answer those 5 questions. What went right? What went wrong? And right with it, why was it wrong? Because you're going to have to say, here's what we wanted, should hit, and then here's what happened, did hit, and there was a difference. We then go right back and ask and answer what it should have been. Focus on the objective. And then, what are we going to do next time? How do we reinforce strengths? What's going right? And let's keep doing that. And how are we going to correct weaknesses? So, those control questions are absolutely vital to performance management. Shown in the lower left are the 3 levels of an organization. For just a moment, I'd like to do a little marketing on how St. Ambrose structures its management courses. At the organizational level, we teach a course in strategic management for division and teams, and looking at all 3 levels, we have the organizational theory and behavior course. You're currently in the individual level, human resource management, but just know we have other courses that handle the 3 layers or levels of an organization. Figure 8.1 of our chapter readings reminds us that we have the job descriptions and specifications at the individual levels that are to be aligning with the organizational strategies and work through the division and teams. It is performance management that drives and aligns the individual level of the organizational operations system. So it's extremely important that we constantly think of an integrated whole as our performance management process, and that we align our individual to our teams and organization performance objectives. Now I'd like to discuss a topic our textbook kind of glossed over, didn't really say a lot about, and that's recognition. Now, Chapter 12 is the strategic use of pay incentives, but there's recognition other than pay. In fact, when we get into chapters 11 and 12, we'll keep reminding you that pay is not always the best incentive. So we need to look at recognition from the organization, recognition from the division and teams. How does the immediate boss, the boss's boss, and the peers view the individual? So recognition could be simple team and individual awards. It could be done one-on-one in an office, or it could be done in a small ceremony in front of witnesses. Simple thank yous sometimes are so inexpensive, but have a much greater impact than money. Then I've got this wonderful WHS. That's a warm handshake. But again, it's just simple recognition. Yes, there are awards, whether it's little certificates or trophies or medals, or you've got something that the team finds of value. It's just a mock-up, but whatever will help you as managers recognize performance, that's a value. And when you get done with your evaluations and performance management, you have to add in recognition. Book doesn't talk a lot about it, but we have, so we're heroes. Please get ready to implement all this wonderful guidance and coaching in Performance Exercise 8. Please do read about this bank's employee performance management system and its prioritization, wigs and pigs, and these feedback meetings in teams and face-to-face for goals ahead and resources. Boss, what are you going to do in the future to do something like this for your performance management system? Our textbook provides this leadership tool for improving performance. It's the figure number and reading that you see on the slide, and it's so important, I'll have a mini lecture later on. Lastly, while we're discussing Practical Exercise 8 on employee performance management, remember it's going to feed forward into other human resource management functions and other chapters. So while it's one part of a practical exercise, think of it as an integrated whole. And here we go. Here are the references for this presentation. Thank you for your kind attention, and I'll see you in the following lectures. Bye for now.